Ashley's POV. It was the day for the semifinal. Time had passed by so fast that I had only few hours left to prepare for my designs. I had to be perfect. I had checked many times and knew I had made no mistakes. I had worked all night to get the dress done, and I had not enough sleep for the past few days working on my masterpiece. All I needed next was to call my model Jessica, the perfect model to wear my dress at the stage. She was a famous model from Emerald City, and I had Gina to help me secure Jessica as my model. Then I saw her, the woman who has destroyed my life. What was she doing in the same room as me? "Good afternoon, Ashley," Helen said with a smile which I knew very well was not a genuine one. I hated her more whenever she pretended to be nice to me. "Is that your dress? It is beautiful." I quickly covered the dress with a white cloth and shook my head. "My name is Tiana Winters, and my dress is not ready to be seen by others. What are you doing here? This is my room." Helen chuckled and closed her mouth with her hand. "Oh, Ashley, you can stop pretending now. It would be soon that your family will come to take you away and lock you up." Helen whispered her words with a smile. She was acting innocent and smiled at those who passed by to collect things in the room. "What did you say?" I asked Helen with anger. "Your threats meant nothing to me, Miss Ross. You can leave now. I need to work. Do you want to see my designs? I would gladly show you, as it would be the dress that would win this competition." Helen was trying to slip the white cloth covering my dress so she could take a peek at my designs. I stopped her. "What are you doing? Get out, Miss Ross." I pointed the door for her to exit and stared at her. "Why? Are you going to burn this whole place if I refuse to get out? Do you want to repeat what you did 5 years ago that had disgraced your family? Oh, Ashley, you are such a disappointment. You know, no one actually cared that you left, even your friends." Then Helen pretended she said something wrong and covered her mouth. "Oh, silly me. You only had me as your friend. Now who is the unlucky one you considered as your friend?" Helen giggled that sounded like a horse. Her voice was so annoying. "I prefer quality and quantity. Get the fuck out or I'll turn you into a donkey. You already sound like one." Ashley's words made Helen scoffed. "How dare you say that to the future Queen of Petrova? You always think you are better than everyone, but the truth is, you are nothing without me. No one liked you, Ashley. Not even Philip. He just liked you because you are the granddaughter of the Queen of Averna. That's all," Helen said, thinking she could break my heart with her words. It had no effect on me. I don't believe that I'm better than everyone else, but everyone knows I'm better than you. Don't forget, you were nothing before my parent took you in to live with us. I smirked at her and shook my head in disgust. Your parents were beneath us. You would be living on the streets if it was not for me who asked my father to let you stay with us, a decision that I greatly regret. I remembered Helen became an orphan after the death of her parents from a war her parents fought for the Queen of Averna. Her father was a dear friend of my father. And that is, my family took her in and cared for her. She lost everything after the death of her parent. But now, Helen took everything away from me. I felt like a fool. Ashley, your parents needed a daughter like me. They hated you. Most likely, they regretted giving birth to you. Helen's words hurt me much. She knew that was what I felt back then when we were friends. It was true that I do feel my parents loved Helen more than me. I was always the troublemaker in my family. One of my staff came into my room and curtsied to Helen. I frowned. Helen was no princess. She was just a commoner with no abilities, a human. Her father was a weak wizard who married a human with no abilities. As far as I know, Helen had no advantage over me. "Cindy, please usher Miss Ross out from the room," I commanded Cindy and pointed at the door. "Sure. Miss Ross, this way, please." Cindy was too polite. I need to replace her with someone who does not like Helen. Helen left easily and was seen with an evil smile. She had whispered to me before she left, saying I was going to lose. I scoffed to that. The Helen I knew had no talent. I was sure he had hired someone else to design for her and claimed it was hers. But somehow a thought came to my mind. I had a bad feeling about it. Something felt not right with Helen. I sensed she did something to sabotage my win. Few seconds later, a call came into my handphone. It was from Jessica. I was happy to finally hear from my model and perhaps a friend, Jessica. Hello, Tiana. I'm sorry for not returning your calls, she said with a sad tone. Not to worry. Are you coming soon to try on the dress? I just want to make sure everything is perfect for tonight's competition, I said while checking on my dress. There was a pause on the other line. Jessica, are you still there? I'm so sorry, Tiana. I could not be your model. You know, my sister is not well, and I needed the money to pay for her medical bills. So I had to go to another designer who is offering me higher payment, triple the amount of what you offered. Jessica was apologetic, and I could not even hate her for what she did to me. I knew that Jessica's sister was unwell, but I wondered who else knew about her sister's condition other than Gina and me. I ended the call with Jessica and called Gina to find out the truth. Hey, Gina, have you heard? I was already massaging my forehead and whispered a spell to calm myself down. I need to be calm and not blast fireballs at Helen. Heard about what? Gina sounded she was nervous. I sensed something was wrong. It was the way Gina sounded, not herself. She was too quiet. I realized it may all be Helen's trick to deliberately disturb my attention so that I would not have enough time to check on my model's availability. I needed Gina's help to get me a replacement fast. Jessica bailed on me. She got a higher offer from Helen Ross, I sighed. Do you have a replacement model for me who is with Jessica's physique? I need her fast. There was a pause from Gina's side. It was odd. Gina, are you still there? Tiana, I'm so sorry, Gina whispered in the phone. I had to return a favor I owed to Helen Ross. She is powerful now after being engaged with Prince Philip. My hands are tied. You know what she would do to my career if I refused her wishes. My reputation would be ruined. I was speechless to hear my only friend was on the side of my enemy. My hands were feeling warm, and I sensed I was losing control. I needed to calm myself and thought about my son, Teddy. Also, Helen Ross had helped save my mother's life a year ago. I told you about how ill my mother was. I was lucky to receive a charity fund from Helen Ross's company to support my mother's medical cost. I owed her. Gina's words were like fire in my ears. I took one deep breath and said in anger to Gina, Miss Gina Lee, that charity fund was set up by my mother, Princess Annabella. And yes, I am the lost princess of Averna, also known as the runaway bride. You stupid bitch. I then hung up the call and knew my friendship with Gina ended that night. Nikolai's POV. I sat at the table with 5 judges from each dominant species in Averna. The werewolves, the vampires, the witches and wizards, the fairies, and of course, the human. One particular contestant was of my interest. My beautiful Ashley. She has been avoiding me since we last met at my penthouse. I might have angered her about Pamela. I wanted to talk to her and made her understand I had no feelings about Pamela. It was just what my mother wanted, which was to marry and have my own family. I was her only son. I had an elder sister who died when she was in her teens, a death from an incurable disease. My late sister was from my late father's affair with a woman he met before my mother. He did not know she was pregnant with his daughter. I did not want history to repeat itself. I wanted to know for sure Teddy Winters was not my son. The truth from Ashley will soon be revealed. I would make sure of that. I needed to calm her down and make her trust me. She needed to understand I would never hurt her, not in a million years. My heart beats for her. We have contestant number 3 requesting to move to be the last to show her designs tonight. Something to do with a problem with her model. I heard Julian Belfire, a well-known vampire prince, was talking to Prince Philip, the idiotic human. I could not bear to even talk to Philip, who had hurt Ashley for a woman who was nothing compared to my Ashley. On the other hand, I might have to thank him for doing so. He could be the reason I met Ashley for the first time 5 years ago. I wondered what had happened back then between both of them that had caused Ashley to run away. Who is contestant number 3? Philip asked lazily while checking on his handphone. I had no choice but to be nice to him. We had settled our disagreement a few hours ago for the sake of the peace treaty. Bullshit. I never trusted that peace agreement. The fight among species were still going on, and I was sure the Queen of Averna knew all about it. She was losing control of her people, and I waited for the right time to defeat her one day. But for now, my focus was to win Ashley's heart. My mate, my Luna. I needed her. Contestant number 3. Ha, I know her. Miss Tiana Winters. She is from Mystic Town, just like me. Julian's word made me smile. So that was where Ashley had been hiding all these years. At the mention of Tiana Winters, I saw Philip stop playing with his handphone and took a glance at me. It was not a friendly face he was showing me. Quite the opposite. What? Sorry to disappoint you, Philip. I'm not into men. I'm seeing someone. I smirked at him and knew he was pissed. I'm not gay, you asshole, Philip said with gritted teeth and was seen forming his hand into a fist. He, too, was controlling his anger. What is your relationship with Tiana Winters? More than just f***ing. I purposely said those words to anger Philip. For some reason, I could guess Philip already knew who Tiana Winters really was. It was obvious on his face. Do you love her? Philip asked me, which made me finally look at his boring face. I would do anything for her. Definitely not hurting her like what her ex-lover did to her. He did not deserve her at all. I then stood up to end my heated conversation with Philip before we ended up punching each other's face. I could sense he was not happy I was seen dating Ashley. I loved that look of jealousy painted on Philip's stupid face. While pretending to walk to the washroom, I turned towards the backstage where the designers had one room each to prepare their designs and dressing up their model. Without anyone noticing me, I swiftly moved to enter Ashley's room. She was seen seated on a chair with her head looking up on the ceiling. Even in that weird position, I still found her to be quite sexy. Ashley, how are you doing? My voice had startled her, making her stand up all of a sudden. What are you doing here? You can't be here, Nikolai. You are a judge, she said to me while taking few steps back. I want to help you. I heard you need a model. I don't need your help. Please go. You are wasting your time here. Ashley, please let me help you. I know you want to win this competition so much. I can find a model for you to showcase your designs. As I said earlier, I don't need your help, Nikolai. I can't, and I don't want to. Please leave. I sighed and took steps closer to her. I tried to hold her hand, but she moved away from him. Nikolai, please go. She was not looking at me. I could sense sadness forming in her heart. She did not realize I could feel her pain and sadness. I'm sorry if I had ever hurt you. Ashley, I care for you. I don't want us to fight anymore. Stop avoiding me, please. She was probably the only woman besides my mother that I had ever said please to. Nikolai, I need to win this competition on my own. I have to. Please go. I need time to think alone. She finally looked at me with sad eyes. I nodded and walked closer to her. I then raised my hand to caress her cheeks, which surprisingly she did not push me away. If you need any help, you know where to find me. I would always be there for you if you need me, honey. Her lips were trembling and I could sense something was bothering her mind. Nikolai, I already owe you so much. I can't do that anymore. You owe me nothing. I then placed a kiss on her forehead before letting her go. Good luck. I have to go. The event is starting soon. She nodded and sighed. Before I left, I saw her looking at herself in the mirror. She then smiled to herself. I wondered what was on her mind. Author's POV. Helen was humming happy tunes while she fixed the dress that she had claimed as her designs. She knew no one was going to believe what Ashley would accuse her of paying someone else to design her dresses. In her mind, she knew having money would be having buying power. With that power, she could shut all haters up. Thanks to Philip, who was under her control, she could buy all the things she wanted and be whoever she had dreamt of in the past. Finally, her wish was closer to come true. She was so close in getting what she wanted after years of careful planning. Once done, she would get her revenge. The dress is gorgeous, she said, beaming with a smile. I'm sure we will get through to the next round with this masterpiece. Her new hired model, Jessica, faked a smile. She felt guilty for betraying Ashley and wished Ashley would find someone to replace her as a model. What choice did Jessica have? Her sister's hospital bill for cancer treatment was above her pay. You look troubled. I can't have that. If you are feeling guilty for what you did to Tiana Winters, I would say you are a fool. Helen smiled and started to give her 3 assistant commands on what and where to fix the dress. I am a professional. You do not have to worry about my performance tonight, Jessica said without a smile. She did not like Helen much, but her agent had advised her to go with the one who had the most influence to win the competition. Jessica needed this win to get more modeling jobs in the future. Everyone knew Helen was Prince Philip's fiancé. They knew it would be easy for Helen to get to the next level. "You better be, or the deal is over. I am sure your sister needs the money very soon." Helen whispered close to Jessica and winked once. "You made the right choice to join me. You would be the center of attraction for wearing my designs." Jessica sighed and looked at herself in the mirror. In her mind, she knew Helen's dress was definitely not her designs. After Jessica walked out to showcase Helen's designs, she spotted Ashley standing near the stage wearing a robe. She thought perhaps Ashley had given up. True enough, with guilt forming in Jessica's heart, she was not at her best. The chance for Helen to win was slim. Behind the stage, Helen was smiling to herself. She was ready to witness Ashley's failure and embarrassment when the hostess would call her name. Ashley's. I felt nervous hearing the hostess called my name and my company name, Theo Group. I had prepared a surprise on who the model would be tonight to showcase my designs. It was something that would make Helen with the shock of her life look. Smiling to myself, I then walked towards the stage to showcase my designs on my own. No other model than me, just myself. I realized I was indeed the perfect person to wear the dress. For a few seconds, the attendees were in awe, but more were shocked to see me had broken the tradition and maybe the rule of the competition. After I made my first turn, I heard a loud clap, followed by the rest with a cheer and praises. I knew my designs were gorgeous, and when I saw Nikolai, it made me happy to see him smiled at me. The elegant dress was made with my own hands. I had used material that was light and would reflect light better in photographs. It had the element of nature printed to it, matched with my hair that was purposely done messy but attractive. The makeup was bold and with a hint of sexiness shown from my eyeshadow color tone. The dress was tied to a diamond fastener on my tummy that would show enough sexiness for women with voluptuous body shape. For some reason I did not understand, I could sense Nikolai's desire for me from where he was seated. I could feel his heat. After my presentation, I walked back to the dressing room and heard praises from another contestant. I was happy to know I also had those who were on my side of things. Some were quietly hating Helen for her bossy attitude. It was obvious to everyone that Helen was not happy at me, particularly when I caught Philip's eyes staring at me intensely. He had sad eyes, and for a moment I felt that I had truly missed him. But, remembering the things he did to me 5 years ago, I could not find any reason to forgive him. Even after many years being apart, I was still angry at him. He had shattered my dream wedding. I then wondered, did Nikolai like my dress? It was indeed showing the sexy part of my skin being exposed. I chuckled to that thought while my assistant Cindy helped me to change to another dress. An hour later, after the musical performance from a popular singer ended, it was time for the results to come out. I never felt so nervous in my life. It was also the fact that I knew my son Teddy was watching me from the television. I wished I could make him proud of my success. I did it all for him, my little boy. And the last contestant that would proceed to the next level is... The hostess smiled at me, which made me froze to the ground. "Tiana Winters, well done." Hearing my name being chosen to proceed to the next level, I was jumping in joy and exhaled the deep breath that I had taken. I was beaming with a smile as I walked towards the hostess to collect the invitation card to enter the next round. I was told I had the most points among other contestants. But when the hostess was about to give me the invitation card, one of the 5 judges stood up. The female judge, who I believed to be a witch, looking at me and mentioned that Ashley had broken the rule. "You knew in order for you to be a model to the competition, you needed our approval. I did not see that this was done, so no points for Tiana Winters." "What? I don't understand what I did wrong," I said while staring at the judge who seemed to not like me much. I saw Nikolai wanted to talk to the microphone. I sensed he had the intention to defend me. I smiled a little with my eyes were looking at his dashingly handsome look. But someone else stood up to defend me. I gasped looking at him from the stage I was standing, author's POV. Ashley could not stop staring at the man who looked like a male version of her, the person who she knew would always be on her side. He would be the one who she knew who would be hurt the most after she left her family 5 years ago. As their eyes met, Ashley bit her lips while trying hard to not cry herself a river of tears. The man was looking calm, but Ashley knew he was not at all himself that day. Ashley knew he was disappointed in her. It was going to take time until he forgives her. Prince Alistair Knight, it is a pleasure to have you here to grace the competition. The hostess looked nervous. The sound of women screaming their lungs out with words of love and admiration on Alistair was heard. For some even fainted that the one considered the most eligible bachelor in Averna came to sight. It was unusual for him to do so. Without a hint of a smile, Alistair said his words without his eyes leaving the sight of his beloved sister. There is a clause in the competition. With the majority vote from the judges, the contestant could continue with the competition if she could get anyone from the audience to be the model for her designs. Pick me. I volunteer. Prince Alistair, I love you. Look at me, my prince. Look here, pick me. Alistair looked around and was not at all looking impressed with the women shouting at him, wanting his attention. He did not know what came to him. The plan was just to confirm if Tiana Winters was indeed his sister who had left their family for the dispute over a man. The man Alistair came to hate. But he wondered why the rest of his family was not against that betrayal to Ashley. And he wondered why his parents treated Helen Ross more like a family than his own sister. That same man he despised stood up from his seat and said in the microphone, I, Prince Philip Petrova, supports Prince Alistair's decision. Miss Tiana Winters will be given another chance, and... Philip's words got cut off with Alistair pointing to a woman in the crowd. It was someone that was shorter with a plump body, someone that was not a model material. Ashley gasped and turned to look at Alistair, then to Nikolai. She saw Nikolai was about to stand up to protest. Definitely he was planning to defend her, and Ashley knew it would not end good between Nikolai and her brother. I take the challenge, Ashley said quickly, and shook her head slowly to Nikolai as a sign she did not want him to create a scene with her brother. I will accept to dress your selection, Prince Alistair. Good. You have an hour. Not a second late. Alistair then sat down and was seen making a phone call. Ashley was a little upset seeing her brother was acting cold to her. Did he not recognize me? Ashley thought while walking to the backstage to dress the random woman being selected to wear her design. Tiana, what should we do? I don't think she can fit into any of our dresses. Cindy, Ashley's assistant, pulled Ashley's hand and whispered her words with a fake smile. Ashley sighed but knew she had no choice. Then a message came into her handphone. It was from Nikolai stating, I believe in you. You can do this. His words of encouragement made her smile. She did not respond to him immediately, for she did not want to keep Nikolai's hope high to get her to submit to his demand. But she felt she was losing the game Nikolai was setting for her. What is your name? Ashley asked while going through a rack with several of her dresses designed for the competition. Celine. I don't know why I did this. It may be because of Prince Alistair's charms that made me agree to it. Celine blushed and was looking shy to face both Ashley and Cindy. You like Prince Alistair that much? Ashley asked while she took a dress from the rack that would look good on Celine. Cindy nodded and reached out to commence applying makeup on Celine's round-shaped face. He is not just handsome, he has a good heart too. And when he lost his sister 5 years ago, he seemed sad and was said to prefer being isolated from public and social events, unlike his twin brother Prince Aaron. Ashley was listening to what Celine was saying about her brother. It made her sad. She loved her brother and wished one day she could sit down and explain everything. Leaving was not a choice. Ashley had to hide her son away from her family. If it was not due to her being pregnant, Ashley would have returned home much sooner. I'm so sorry if I will be the cause for you to lose. I have never done this before, and look at me. I'm not the supermodel type, obviously. I don't think I could fit into that dress, Miss Winters. Celine sighed and touched the blue dress that looked sophisticated, but at the same time was vibrant in color. My biggest problem now is not you not fitting into my dresses. The problem is your confidence. I need you to understand. Confidence is beauty. Ashley then fixed the dress on Celine and smiled. You fit perfectly in this dress. Come here, look at yourself in the mirror. I want you to say you got this. I got this, Celine said as she smiled to herself, loving how pretty she looked in the blue flowy dress. Did you use magic to make me look like this? Celine was turning her body around in front of the mirror, looking happy. No, that is against the rules set in this competition. You do not have to worry. Just listen to what I will teach you. Ashley then gave Celine some good words and faith on her winning this round for her. Ashley kept encouraging Celine while she added materials to the dress and made some alteration while Cindy was fixing Celine's short hair. After almost an hour, Ashley smiled and whispered to Celine, "It's showtime!" Without Ashley knowing, both Nikolai and Philip were watching her movements from far. Nikolai stood nearby secretly, just in case she needed any help. But Philip stood nearby as he felt his heart feeling a sensation he once felt for Ashley. An old flame that seemed to be coming back, Ashley's POV. Behind the stage, I held Celine's hand and kept whispering word of encouragement. I could sense she was much calmer than an hour ago. A smile was forming on her face, which made her look very much attractive. You have a beautiful smile. I fixed her hair and nodded. Keep smiling. It is your power. My power? I'm just a human, Miss Winters. I have no powers. Celine laughed sweetly and sighed. Look at me. I'm fat and unattractive. What are the odds of me winning tonight, Miss Winters? I apologize in advance for my failure. I shook my head and pulled Celine's hand to make her see her own reflection in the mirror. Having abilities does not define your strength. Everyone has their own powers. And yours, Celine, is your kindness and honesty. Show that in your smile. Be who you truly are, a beautiful soul. Celine smiled at the mirror and nodded. Miss Winters, no one had ever said that to me. You are not what they say you are. If only they knew the real you, they would not have chosen to like Miss Helen Ross. Excuse me? I did not understand what the hell she was talking about. Did she know who I really was? Was I that obvious? It is a pleasure to be dressed and dolled up by Princess Ashley of Averna. Celine then curtsied a little with a smile that could light up the darkness at the backstage. I don't know what you are talking about. I pretended not to hear her and ushered her to walk with my dress on the stage. Good luck, Celine. It does not matter if you win or not. Before Celine walked further, she whispered at Ashley, Your brother, Alistair, sent me. He said you need to be careful. He is finding a way to make it right. Make what right? I don't understand, I asked and walked closer to Celine. Is he in trouble? Who are you, really? Celine whispered in a tone that only Ashley could hear. I'm just a friend of his. Something big is happening, and it is affecting your family. That is all I can say. Celine then walked forward and played her role as what I had briefed her earlier. Her words were playing in a loop in my head. I did not believe Celine had tricked me. It was all a setup. I wondered what was Alistair planning. I then moved my focus to Celine, who was doing a great job in modeling my design. Although the design for that dress was unfinished and not perfect, the smile on her face moved the audience. She was a natural. I wondered, where did Alistair find her? What was her relationship to him? After the performance, I was called to the stage for an evaluation. A beautiful performance. You did a good job. That dress is lovely. It could be worn by many types of body shape. I'm impressed. It was then Nikolai's turn to comment on the performance. Congratulations. You did well, Miss Winters. I nodded and thanked him. For a moment, we were staring at each other and smiled. No words were needed for us to express ourselves at that moment. His smile to me said everything. I vote to give Miss Winters the invitation card to enter the next level, Philip said and clapped his hands as a sign of his support to me. The audience too clapped their hands as a sign of their support to Philip. It is just average to me. I'm sure we have other candidates that would be more eligible to get the invitation card. I gasped, hearing Alistair said those words. What was wrong with him? Was he not on my side? It was ridiculous. Then we should put this to a vote. Nikolai raised his hand to support me. I then saw many of the judges raise their hand to vote for me. Well, I guess we have the majority, Philip said as he looked at me with a smile on his handsome face, the smile that made me his many years ago. Congratulations, Miss Winters. But things had changed. I was no longer the old Ashley. I was not going to fall for his tricks. After the show, I was congratulated by many of the other contestants. Words of support and encouragement were heard, but that had excluded Helen Ross. From where I stood backstage, I could see Helen scolding Philip. It was odd to see Philip not fighting back to Helen. It was as if Helen was controlling him. I had many questions, but no answers came to mind. The men in my life were so complicated. Miss Winters, congratulations. I turned around, knowing who that voice belonged to. I nervously smiled at him. Thank you, Mr. Wolfgard. Your support was valuable to me. Let me know how I could repay you, I said while talking a step back as he was getting much closer to me. He gave a smile that was making me nervous. His dimples were my weakness. You don't have to be so formal with me, honey. He then lowered his head and whispered in my ears, I'm sure you know what I want. I would wait 1,000 years to hear you say you want to be with me. I would wait patiently for you to submit yourself to me. I was breathing erratically. He was making my heart skip a beat and my lips were trembling. Nikolai, everyone is watching us. Let them watch. He caressed my cheeks and lowered his head to kiss me. One date. Let's start it over. I would like to make it right for us. I would surely love that too. But I was not sure if I was ready for our first date. Before I could respond to his request, his handphone rang, Ashley's POV. I saw Nikolai frown looking at who was calling him. I wondered if it was Pamela. He seemed distracted with the call, which gave me some time to think on whether I should accept his invitation for our first date. My heart was beating for him. I could feel his kindness during tonight's event. The sincerity seen in his beautiful eyes made me think on the possibility of us working to make things better for us. For Teddy, too. I need to answer this call. Family matters. He moved to peck my lips as if it was a natural thing for us to do. Those around us might think we were already a couple. It made me blush, and my stomach was with butterflies. I'll pick you up tomorrow at your place, he whispered, and kissed my already red cheeks again. This man. He was doing it on purpose. Possessive much. You don't know where I live, Nikolai. I gave him a half smile and was about to reject his offer for our first date, but got cut off with what he said next. Florence apartment. Your magic took time for me to break it through. Covering your tracks very well indeed, honey, but you should know by now our connection is getting stronger. He winked at me, who was already with facial paralysis. I'll always find you. I then watched him walk away. My heart was beating wildly. Why must he be so sexy? Ashley. It was a voice of a man who was the reason for the destruction of my life. I should hate him. I should curse his living soul for eternity of damnation. I turned around and met Philip. The man who once promised me a happily ever after life, but destroyed it on the day that was supposed to be the best day of my life. I did not care if he had seen how close I was with Nikolai. I hope it would hurt him as much as he had hurt me in the past. But why was my heart still beating fast when he was near me? Prince Philip, your support for me earlier would not be forgotten. I will prove to you my worth by winning this competition. If you would excuse me, I need to go. I walked past him in hope he would just leave me alone. I was in no mood to talk to him. I had more urgent matter to attend to. Teddy must be waiting for me to call him. Ashley, please wait. I could feel him held my hand. That feeling of his cold and trembling hand made me look up to his face. The face of the man that I had promised to love when he had proposed marriage to me in the most beautiful ceremony. Also, the same man I caught making out with my former best friend. Those memories were still hurtful, even after 5 years later. Let me go, Prince. You would not want your precious sweetheart Helen to see you talking to me. I yanked my hand away from his hold and turned around to walk away. In few seconds, he appeared in front of me while blocking my way. Let me explain, Ashley. I don't know what is happening to me. You are all that I think about, all the time. But, there are times I'm not myself. Shut up, Philip. I'm tired with your lies. Stop following me. I don't care about you anymore. So, please move. I said with gritted teeth and pushed his arm that was blocking my way. You can't trust him, Ashley. Nikolai can't be trusted. I turned around and faced Philip with anger spelled out on my face. And I should trust you? The one that cheated on me on my wedding day? You made your choice. You have no right to interfere with my life. Go away, Philip. I walked faster with longer strides. Any moment now, my son would call me, and I could not let Philip know about Teddy. Honey, please, can we just talk? It has been 5 years. I did not mean to hurt you back then. I did not know what happened. Well, not entirely. Philip was going on explaining himself, but I was not interested to hear his stories. I was sure it was all a lie. Did you get bored with Helen? Like how you got bored with me? Did you think you could just waltz into my life expecting me to forgive you after you? I paused and held my breath, not wanting to shed a tear for him. It was not worth it. He was not worth my time. After I hurt you, after I destroyed us. Philip whispered his words with his teary-looking eyes. You could not imagine how it had hurt me when you left me, Ashley. You just left, leaving us all behind. And what did you expect me to do, Philip? Cheer happily seeing you getting married with Helen on what's supposed to be my wedding day? Did you expect me to accept your betrayal with Helen and support you and your mistress? Fuck off, Philip. I pushed him back and continued to walk out from the backstage. I needed some air to clear my head. I was so close to unleash my anger and burn the whole place down. But I was no longer that Ashley who destroyed things. I needed to control my anger and fight another day. It would be what Lorraine wanted me to do and not fight when I was not in control with my emotions. Ashley, you think I would just sit back and watch you destroy your life for falling in love with Nikolai Wolfgard? That man can't be trusted. His family is difficult to deal with, and everyone knows he has chosen a wife. I'm sure you have heard about Pamela Vale. Philip shook his head and continued. Are you willing to be his mistress? Mind your own business, Philip. I will choose whoever I want to be with. You are nothing to me. It's over between us, so back off. I was angry at him, accusing myself to be Nikolai's mistress. How dare he made such accusation on me? Then I felt Philip grab my wrist tightly. If you so much want the company of a man, I would gladly fill that loneliness you are feeling right now. But I can't stand seeing you selling your body to that werewolf. Don't you know you are fucking a dark alpha? He is just using you to get back to your grandmother. If money is what you seek, I'll pay you to be with me. Slap! My hard slap on his face caught him in surprise. For a moment, we were staring at each other that had made us feeling rather sad. I wondered what had happened to us. We were once very happy. I was sure he was in love with me as I was with him. Everything shattered because of Helen. And I hoped very much that Philip could see her evil nature. Don't you ever touch me again, Philip. I then walked away, leaving him behind looking at me with what I thought was a face of a very sad man. I stopped for a moment at the glass exit door. I thought I saw a glimpse of Helen hiding herself behind a wall. I smirked to that and hoped she realized Philip never truly loved her. Definitely, a win for me. Author's POV. All of Ashley's troubles had gone away after she arrived home and received a call from the most precious boy in her life. Mommy, you did it. Teddy was seen jumping in joy while clapping his hands. I knew you would be great. You fought those bad people and showed them your superpowers. Ashley laughed while seated on the sofa hugging a pillow, pretending it was her son. My superpowers? I can't use them to win, baby. We should not use our abilities that would hurt others. Teddy was seen pouting and shook his head. But they hurt you, Mommy. Should you not hurt them back? You should show them how strong you are, so they won't hurt you again. Violence is not the answer, Teddy. Remember what I told you. You could use for self-defense, but not to initiate a fight. Ashley felt she was sounding more like her mother, and that made her smile. A memory of the times when both her parents did love her came to mind. It was the time when her powers were still small and weak. Everything changed when she got older and stronger, up to the point they feared her. Locked her in the palace with a bracelet that could dampen her powers. A caged princess that was feared and hated by many. I wished I could be by your side, Mommy. Then I would protect you from those bullies. Teddy then was seen to punch the air and kicked on the side. It made Ashley laugh at how cute her protective son was. She knew he would always be her protector. I could feel you supporting me from far. That gave me courage to win, my love. She touched the screen of her camera as if she was touching his face. And I also had someone to help me. Ashley wanted so much to tell Teddy it was Nikolai who had helped her but it was too soon to tell him everything. Teddy was too young to understand why she had to hide him from Nikolai. His family would be a problem to her. They would accept Teddy as he was a half-blood, but it would not mean his family would accept her as Nikolai's mate. Reading the history of werewolves, Ashley knew it would not be easy for a non-werewolf like her to be accepted as the Luna for a strong alpha like Nikolai Wolfgard. The future king of all alphas would need a strong she-wolf that would need the respect of all wolf packs, a position which was related to duty and honor. In other words, it would be like being in another cage in the world of the werewolves. "Who was it, Mommy?" Teddy smiled, showing his cute dimples, just like the ones that his father has. It made Ashley smile with a drop of tears that fell down her cheeks. "A nice gentleman. Maybe one day I'll introduce him to you." It was something Ashley knew she could not avoid it. But as much as she could, Ashley would need to slowly explain things to Teddy if one day Nikolai would take Teddy away from her. She needed Teddy to understand all that matters was for his safety and happiness. "I hope it is not the man that had hurt you, Mommy. Is it the man that made you lose your family?" Teddy pouted his lips, thinking his mother got back together with her ex-lover. He had heard about what Philip had done to his mother, but not knowing who his true identity was. Teddy then whispered to Ashley, "Did he find you, Mommy? I would bite him and fight him, Mommy." Ashley laughed to the bravery shown by Teddy and shook her head. "Bite him? You are not a vampire, Teddy. You are a wizard, like me." She was not ready to tell him the truth about his werewolf lineage, but somehow Ashley felt it was time for her to tell him about his true nature. One day, Teddy's wolf would appear, and that would be the time Ashley would need to Teddy far away from her family or even Nikolai. They talked for a little longer until the sound of the doorbell to her apartment was heard. Ashley gasped and wondered who would come visit her in the middle of the night. At the same time, far away from Averna, a red-haired woman with gray eyes was seen walking across the streets of Mystic Town, a place she had not been for many years after the dispute she had with the longest living witch in the town. Wearing a red hooded robe that had also covered her head, she was whispering a spell to not being recognized by the passers-by that saw her presence in the town. She came alone, as the matter that was to discuss was of a personal matter, a matter that was prophesied to happen, which she had tried to avoid many times. It seemed no matter what she had done, nothing seemed possible for her to stop the war that was coming. Once she reached the large gate of the Winter's mansion, she raised her hand and whispered a spell to open the gate, a secret code that could allow her to enter. As the gate opened, she smiled, knowing the owner of the mansion knew she was coming. Walking across the garden filled with blooming flowers brought her to a trip to memory lane. The good times when she once stayed at the large Winter's mansion was something she had missed. It was filled with much love and despair, a responsibility that lied on her shoulders without she ever wanting it. Now, it was time for her to admit she may have been wrong. For the sake of her loved ones, she had to set her ego aside and work together to defeat the real enemy of the Withs. As she stood at the main door, it opened wide with a woman that looked like she was just in her 50s, despite her age of more than a century old. "You aged gracefully, Lorraine." Smiling at her visitor, Lorraine opened the door wider to let her visitor inside her home. "You are late, Queen Anastasia Tatiana Bellarosa Regis. An honor is mine to have the Queen of Averna in my humble home." Ashley's POV. "I wondered who would visit me in the middle of the night. Was it Nikolai?" I gasped and walked towards a mirror placed near the door. I fixed my hair and applied some light lipstick and dabbed some blushers for my cheeks, just enough to not make me look pale. Then I paused. What am I doing? Why am I so excited to think it could be him? I then wiped off the lipstick and sighed. Calming my breath, I then opened the door. "Hello, Tiana. Or should I call you Princess Ashley?" I was surprised to see Gina Lee standing at the door looking rather nervous. "Look, I came here in peace. What do you want? You are not longer my agent, and it's late night. Talk to my new agent and set an appointment if you want to see me." I then pushed the door to close, not bothering if Gina had more things to say. But then I saw a foot stopping the door to close. A fashionable shining shoe that had a label on it as Heiser. It could not be him. Ashley, if you don't open the door, I'll post a dozen of your naked photos online. I gasped and opened the door widely. Tommy? What? What are you doing here? I was shocked to see my cousin's best friend to appear at my apartment in the middle of the night. He was not the type to come out and visit his friends if there were no party or expensive drinks being offered. Tommy was one man who would do things that he threatened you about. And yes, he had some of my naked photos back then when I was younger. Skinny dipping in the lake, strip on a stage, drunk party, and more stuff that I was too embarrassed to even think about. That was all in the past before I gave birth to Teddy. A famous fashion designer that was known to dress royalties and celebrities around the world. Not a close friend of mine, but he was the closest friend of my cousin Phoebe Strauss, who was married to the Prince of Rivera, Prince Benjamin Eldrick Norrington. That would mean my cousin came. Phoebe is here, is she? I whispered with a trembling voice and was afraid to face my cousin Phoebe. The only family member that had never judged me for who I am. She was the kindest among all royalties that I have known. The only family member that I could trust with my deepest secrets. Her grandfather, Alexander Pierce, was the husband of the Queen of Averna. Alexander had a child with a stripper named Pinky Pierce. Pinky was Phoebe's mother, a complex mess in the past, a royal scandal. How could you do this to us? I heard Phoebe sniffled a tear. She walked past Tommy and looked at me with a sad face. Her hand was caressing her pregnant belly, which I had lost track on how many children she had given birth to. Phoebe, a lot has happened. I bit my lips and knew I could not send her away. Opening the door wider, I invited them in. Oh my goodness, my eyes are hurting. What is this dump? Are you actually living in this space, which is just slightly bigger than the size of my toilet? Tommy walked in and checked the area for things he was going to make some nasty comments of. It did not affect me. I had been in a worse place to live after I walked away from my life as a princess. I'm sorry, Tiana. I'm friends with Tommy, and when you told me you are the lost princess of Averna, I had to tell Tommy because he never stops looking for you. Gina's words touched my heart. I never realized anyone was actually looking for me. You were looking for me? I closed the door and turned to face Tommy, who was fanning his neck as if he was attacked by some disease. Ashley, I know everything about you, your history, your powers, and everything annoying about your attitude, but I'm still here. I care about you. He looked around my apartment and wrinkled his nose. And this is not a place for a princess to live. Go pack your bags. We are leaving. What? No, I'm not leaving. I paid rent till the end of the week. And yes, money was a little of an issue to me. I had sold all my jewelries that I had when I left Averna to raise my child, all alone. With what little I have, I had worked my way up to be where I was at that moment. Tiana Winters was not going to leave everything she loved behind her. I was going to win the competition. Ashley, you can't stay here. They know you are here. They will take you away. You are not safe. Phoebe walked towards me and held my hand. I am angry at you, but I also care very much for you. I don't know why you left all of a sudden. But after I have seen Helen and Philip, I knew something was not right. I was not sure if I wanted to focus on who was coming or what she knew about Helen and Philip. You two women can talk while I pack your stuff. I can't stand any minute staying here. It is suffocating. I might die of epilepsy any minute now. Tommy waved his hand for Gina to follow to help him pack. No, I'm not leaving. Get out, all of you. I don't need you then. I don't need you now. I am fine by my own. Out! I pointed to the door for them to get out from my apartment. I had so many things to do that night, and moving to another place was not one of it. Ashley, as we speak, your grandmother is on her way to Mystic Town to meet Lorraine Winters. I heard it from Eldrick. He was supposed to meet the Queen, but we were told she had left to settle some business at Mystic Town. And there is something else. Phoebe then exhaled her breath, and I offered for her to sit down. I'm sorry, this is my third pregnancy, and I'm due any time now. Phoebe was seen breathing slowly to calm herself. Eldrick is waiting for me at the lobby with my driver. You need to follow me. I gave her a glass of water as she looked thirsty. Come with me to Rivera. My brother-in-law is crowned the king now. He would grant you protection from whatever you are running away from. I'm not running away from anyone. And you know well I can protect myself. I sighed, and looking at Tommy packing my things made me restless. Tommy, Gina, please stop. Phoebe, who was seated next to me on the sofa, held my hand and whispered, I talked to Alistair, your brother. He is dating Philip's sister, Paulina. Did you know that? Well, Paulina noticed Philip was acting strange since the day he had chosen Helen over you. It was unexpected. You do know they have been engaged for almost 5 years, but Philip's parents were not giving their blessing for them to marry. I did not know why, but I was kind of happy with that revelation. Paulina thinks Philip was bewitched by Helen, some sort of a spell that made his focus was on Helen than you. I have a feeling. The same is happening now to your parents. They do not realize it. Phoebe's words made scoffed. My mother is a witch. She would have known she was being put under a spell. And besides, Helen had no magic, no abilities. I found it hard to believe what Phoebe said. I don't know why, but Alistair thinks it may have something to do with a prophecy. He found a book of dark magic at Helen's room. Phoebe took a moment and said something that made me feel my world was going to collapse. Ashley, a prophecy is said that a blood witch with demon blood would open the gates and unleash hell on earth. And you have a demon blood, and there are those out there who wants to break you so you would turn to the dark side. Phoebe held my hand tightly, and I think Helen has something to do with it. And suddenly, everything made sense to me. Ashley's POV. Did he try to contact you, Ash? Phoebe asked me with her look of concern. It was a question I have not thought about for many years. Has your grandfather tried to connect to you again? There were times I could feel some darkness forming in my heart. Whispers in my ears were heard, drawing me to unleash my powers to reach its potential. It made me feel stronger and liberating. That was in the past. A past I managed to control after the birth of my son. I could not let the darkness take over my life. I could not let it flow to my son. Teddy was a good son of mine. Probably my only child, as my birth to him was a difficult one with much complication. He was the most precious in my life. It was unfortunate for me to have demon blood in me, thanks to my paternal grandfather. He was the one many feared in the past, with war falling down to mankind. My grandfather did try to reach out to me, but I knew now I needed to fight him, so he could not reach out to my son. Ashley, are you all right? Phoebe held my hand while waiting for my answer. I looked up at her pretty face and wished I could tell her everything. I'm fine. I have not heard or felt that darkness like before. I guess I managed to control it. I faked a smile and turned my head to the side to watch over Tommy and Gina pack my things. I did not have many. It was quite fast to pack my things. That is good to hear. Eldrick has a penthouse in Averna City. We would be safe there until we find a way to get you out from the city without your family knowing it. I don't know what is going on, but I'm sure you have your reasons for running away. Phoebe sighed and smiled weakly. I hope you could trust me with what secrets you are hiding. I can't go, Phoebe. I have a competition to win. I stood up and shook my head at my cousin and her friends. I appreciate your concern over my safety. I can take care of myself. It won't be long until the finale of the competition. I need to win it. It is not a choice. You are staying with us. Eldrick and I will keep you safe. Phoebe stood up and moved to hug me with her large, pregnant belly. It was a long time since anyone had hugged me so tightly like Phoebe. It made me smile. Maybe it was not a bad idea after all to stay with my cousin. Beep! The sound of a message came into my handphone. I wonder who would that be. I was sure my son was already asleep. Looking forward to see you tomorrow, honey. I gasped reading the message from Nikolai. It even came with 2 heart emoji. What was wrong with him? Heart emoji? Seriously? Was he drunk? I smiled to myself and wonder what I should reply back to him. Or should I just ignore him? That would drive him crazy, waiting for my reply. So, is that Nikolai Wolfgard? Phoebe smiled with her hand caressing her pregnant belly. Eldrick told me Nikolai is dating a designer with the name Tiana Winters. I was there at the masquerade party. I thought Tiana Winters looked familiar. You know me well, cousin. I did not know how to inform Phoebe about Nikolai. I did not even know where our relationship would head to. I was not sure if I was ready to commit to a life with a werewolf. Are you? Do you feel disgusted with me dating a werewolf? Ashley, I just want you to be happy. Eldrick said Nikolai never spoke so much about any woman than you. He seemed in love. I scoffed at Phoebe's remarks. I was not sure if it was love or just our lust towards each other. Maybe one day Nikolai would get bored with me like how Philip got bored with me. Thinking about Philip made me a little sad. I had so many plans for us in the past. So much hope to spend the rest of my life with him. Things were so much simpler. That was until Helen came into my family. She ruined me. Let's go now. Eldrick is asking us to get a move on. It would not be long until the guards would reach your doorstep and drag you back to the palace. Phoebe offered her hand for me to take. Please, Ashley, come with me. Do it for me. I paused for a moment and replied firmly, only if you allow me to finish the competition until the end. Is this about Helen? She is not worth your time. Defeating her at the competition would not make things better. Phoebe pouted, and I knew she was always a little protective of me. I want to defeat Helen so badly that she would feel my fire in her throat. I meant every word I said. Defeating her would be so satisfying. The look of her face seeing me winning the competition would be priceless. That bitch will go down. What do you plan to do with her? Oh, do tell. Revenge is fun, Tommy said and sat on the sofa waiting for me to share my plan. It was simple, just some light torture. Don't worry, I won't leave a mark since there would be no body after I burn her. Ashley! Phoebe gasped and shook her head. Gina looked at me in shock. As for Tommy, he had the look that he was looking forward for what I planned to do with Helen. I will help you that. I'm a master in disguise. They would not be able to notice you entering and exiting the venue of the competition. I can arrange for that, Tommy said and cleared his throat. You owe me one of many favors. Maybe one day your magic would be of great use to me. Plus, I'm not a fan of Helen. You are unbelievable, Tommy. I rolled my eyes and laughed at Tommy. Maybe it was time I have someone to care for me. It has been a while since I have people caring for me other than Finley, Lorraine, and my son. Before I left the apartment that I came to like, I replied the message to Nikolai saying, "It is just lunch, Nikolai, I'll meet you there." I chuckled to myself and felt nervous for my first date with the father of my son. And for some reason, I was kind of missing him. The memory of his naked body has been haunting me at night in my dreams. I missed his touch. I missed his lips kissing me wildly, and that thought made my heart flutters. Why do I feel the connection between us getting so much stronger? Then he sent me a picture of himself not wearing a shirt on. He was looking drunk with blushed cheeks. It was a long time since I had laughed so much. Who would have thought the feared Dark Alpha could be that silly? In the large Winters mansion in Mystic Town, Queen Anastasia was trying her best to control the anger forming in her head. She was walking much while she calmed her anger that was getting bigger after her conversation with the witch she once called her mentor. You hid her and lied to me. For 5 years, you kept her here? Anastasia closed her eyes for a moment and took a deep breath. Did you know the pain you had caused my family? The pain you had caused to Ashley was far greater. You have no idea what that girl went through. Bella. Lorraine, who was looking calm, poured 2 glasses of her finest wine and offered one to Anastasia. My daughter Anne almost left her husband for not being able to find Ashley. I had to calm her down. I had to use magic to stop her from going insane. Anastasia drank the wine and sighed. The spell that Helen had placed on both Anne and Ashton was one that was not easy to break. I need your help. Of course you do. Why else would you come here in the middle of the night, alone? Lorraine then handed her a black book and opened a page to show Anastasia. Ashley needs to break the spell. Only she is powerful enough to do that. Anastasia read the page and her eyes opened wider. What are you saying? What is Helen? How is it possible for her to be so powerful? Nikolai's POV. I woke feeling refreshed with a good night's sleep. Last night, I had met up with my wolf pack in Averna, and we had a good time. Run in the wild and came back drunk after a little party we had. I realized I might have sent some embarrassing photographs of me to my dear Ashley. She did not say much except for sending me a message of wishing me Good night. This woman was playing hard to get. I knew she was falling for me, but I also knew she was afraid to be with me. A werewolf. I had dreamt a wonderful dream of both Ashley and her son living with me as one happy family. Perhaps I would get her pregnant again with many of our children. Smiling at my good-looking reflection in the mirror, I rehearsed few pickup lines to get Ashley to like me more. I was sure she felt the connection we had when we are close to each other. The clock was ticking for me to mark her as my mate. My wolf Blake was getting weaker, and I needed to save him. I was looking forward to my first date with Ashley, and I want to confess my love for her and would cherish her son to be mine. I would need to convince her to trust me, that I would protect her from my enemies and whoever she was running away from. She meant the world to me, and I needed her to accept me in her life. Walking down from my room towards the door to my penthouse, I was whistling to a tune I heard at the amusement park that was the favorite of Kiko, the boy I met. I wondered how he was. He did not call me. I had hoped he would. As I was ready to exit my penthouse, I was shocked to see my Uncle Igor standing at the door, looking his usual self of serious looking. He had a cane used to walk. The last battle with the Regalia Wolfpack had caused him to injure his leg when he was in his human form. It took longer than expected for him to fully recover. Nico, it is good to see you. Did you read my message? I had no idea what he was talking about. I did not realize there was a message sent to me from him. Do refresh my memory. I did not even offer my uncle to enter my penthouse. My mind was focused to arrive at Rose's restaurant with Chef Marquez serving us the best dishes in Averna. I could not wait to have Ashley in my arms again, feeding her with food and tasting her body again. Whatever my family was planning for me must wait. Are you not going to invite me in? My Uncle Igor asked firmly. I saw the look of two men that came to accompany him to see me. It looked like he had backup to ensure I fell to his demands. I scoffed to that thought. I'm busy. I have plans. If the plan involved you meeting a particular witch, I propose for you to reconsider. Nico, his threats meant nothing to me. Is that a threat? My Uncle Igor may be powerful in the past, but now I was in command of my wolf pack. He had no right to question my life choices. Mind your own business, Uncle Igor. I need to go now. I moved out after closing the door to my penthouse, feeling annoyed by the presence of my family unannounced. It is important, Nico. Your mama is waiting for you at the ballroom of the hotel next door. One person that could still very much make me fall to her demand was, of course, my own mother. I can't stay long. I have an appointment. I then led the way to the ballroom of the hotel next door without saying a word to my Uncle Igor. He was explaining matters about the business he was handling. I was not at all interested in his investments made. When we reached the ballroom, I was surprised to see several familiar faces of my close family members and friends. Even my beta Ivan was there looking at me. The look Ivan gave me was of warning me of what was coming. It made me restless. Is this some sort of a trick you played to lure me here, Uncle Igor? I will confess now that I do not like you making plans for me behind my back. My words were said with gritted teeth, and I let out a soft growl. I then saw Pamela walking towards me looking pretty in an expensive dress, but she meant nothing to me too. I just hoped everyone would stop pestering me to marry Pamela. My heart only belonged to Ashley. Nico, you are here. I miss you so much. Pamela came to me, and without a warning, she pecked my cheeks. I pushed her gently back. Without a smile, I warned her, "Don't do that. I don't like it." My words were obviously hurting her, but I was getting tired of her not understanding that there would be no wedding for us. Nico, my boy, my mother came to hug me and hugged Pamela next. You are looking so beautiful, Pamela. A man would be so lucky to have a strong and beautiful woman like you to marry. Is this not right, Nico? Nice to meet both of you. What is the urgency to have me here? I have an appointment to go. Can we make this quick, Mama? I asked with my eyes looking around. I was not sure on why Pamela's brothers were in attendance as well. What is the rush, Nico? Today is an important day for you and Pamela, my mother said, innocently sweet, and held my hand and Pamela's hand. Mama, what is going on? I was not liking the situation I was trapped in. I looked at Ivan, who shrugged his shoulders, not knowing what was happening as well. Then, several reporters came to me and asked questions that made me boiling in anger. Alpha Wolfguard, congratulations on your engagement with Pamela Vale. Miss Vale, would you be moving to Zevia in the Palace of Wolfguard? When is the date of the union of two strongest wolf pack in the north? I could not bear to hear any more of the questions coming towards me. I was annoyed. It was all fake news. Stop talking! There is a cooperation between the Wolfguard and Vala families, but it does not mean there would be a marriage between us. This matter ends here. I would only marry my mate. Get your facts right. I turned to look at Pamela, who was looking like she was heartbroken. I knew I had hurt her, but she was going too far in this relationship that never existed between us. I did not bother to answer any more of those questions that were with no substance. I then rushed to Rose's restaurant. I was late for our first date. Walking towards the waiter, I checked on whether my date had arrived. No, Alpha Wolfguard, your date had not arrived yet. You may take the seat. The waitress' words were making me anxious, and I walked to the waiting area of the restaurant to call Ashley. While waiting for her to answer, I saw the news on the television that had shown my own mother and Pamela creating more lies about my relationship with Pamela. It had gone too far. Hello. I heard the voice of a man answering Ashley's call. Ashley? I asked stupidly. Was that the voice of her son's real father? It felt like 1,000 silver blade piercing through my heart. I felt hurt, really hurt. Ashley's POV. I was busy taking care of Teddy that was suddenly down with a high fever. Sleeping next to him, I could not stop staring at his cuteness even when he was not well. He was looking more like his father each day. That kind of frightened me a little. What if others started to notice their resemblance? I sighed to that and covered my baby boy with the blanket that I had actually knitted myself when I was pregnant with him. A pink blanket. I thought I was going to have a baby girl, but it turned out to be a boy who I came to love wholeheartedly. I did not mind if my baby was a boy or a girl. I just wanted a baby who was healthy and happy to have me as his mother. And Teddy was the most precious gift given to me. When Finley called the night before telling me about Teddy being ill, I had rushed all the way to reach Finley's home. I did not even bother telling my cousin Phoebe and merely left a note saying I had a change of heart. I lied to them saying I wanted to be alone until I was ready to connect with my old life again. I knew it was going to hurt Phoebe. I hoped she would forgive me for leaving abruptly. Mommy, don't leave me. It made me sad hearing him begging me not to leave him. He was getting clingier, and his hand was holding mine, ensuring I was still there by his side. I'm here, sweetheart. Mommy is here. I held his small chubby hand and kissed it. You need to sleep, and tomorrow you'll be better. I waited until he was asleep before I slowly got up to take a shower. I hoped very much that my son would recover soon. I tried all sort of spells to make him comfortable. He seemed to be better after taking some medication. I should not have left him for too long. Thank you, Finley, for taking good care of my boy. You are my true friend. Most likely my only friend. I chuckled and walked with Finley to take some fresh air at his backyard garden. It would not be long until Teddy woke up and would be looking for me. I needed to rest for a while and perhaps take some time to work on my designs. I'm sorry, Ash. I should have taken better care of him. You know we love him very much. I nodded and smiled at Finley. In another life, we would be a good couple. But Finley's heart belonged to another. Someone that had caused him to be disowned by his family. In love with the son of his family's enemy was unacceptable to his wolf pack. He had sacrificed a lot for love, almost everything. I wondered if Nikolai would do the same. I thought he would. Maybe I was wrong. You look troubled? Anything I could help with? Finley covered my body with his jacket to keep me warm. Such gentleman, he was. I don't know. I wrapped my body with my arms and sighed. Don't let the news affect you much. Finley sat next to me on a bench as we sat back while looking at the stars. It may just be a misunderstanding. Maybe he does not love her. Have you seen how pretty Pamela is? A daughter of a strong alpha. She is perfect for him. I felt sad saying those words. I thought he wanted me. Maybe it was a blessing that I did not go to meet Nikolai for that date. I would have waited and waited. Then it would broke my heart knowing he was getting engaged with another woman. I was sounding pretty pathetic at that moment. I'm just unlucky in love. First Philip, then Nikolai. Maybe I'm destined to be alone. Oh, great, I was in tears. I realized I need to learn how to let Nikolai go. He was no longer mine. Finley wiped my tears away with his handkerchief. Not alone, my dear. You have me. I'll always be there for you whenever you need me. Finley wrapped me around my shoulder and kissed my head lightly. By the way, Dave sent his love for you and said he would be coming back here in a few days' time. Teddy would be excited to see him again when he gets better. I smiled at him and felt a little jealous of him having someone to love and care for him. Dave was a sweetheart. They both cared for me while I was heavily pregnant with Teddy. Do you think he loves me? I asked Finley and thought it was a stupid question. Does it matter? What is important is what do you want? Do you want him? Finley asked me a question which I was not sure myself. We sat in silence for a moment, enjoying the view of the starry night and perfect weather. Oh, by the way, some guy called you yesterday at about past noon. I forgot to mention, you were busy attending to Teddy. Dave answered the call. Finley squeezed my hand. I knew he knew who it was. I knew it was most likely Nikolai looking for me or wanted to say he had chosen Pamela instead of me. I was in no mood to talk to him. Being with Teddy was my top priority. I then went to bed and hoped for a better day. Waking up the next day, it was a better day indeed, with Teddy getting well and I could see him smile again. My little bundle of joy. Mommy, I'm better now. Can we go to the park? My son's wish was my command. It was only a few days till the final stage of the competition, and I felt sad to have to leave him again for a few days. After taking him to the park, I spent the whole day fulfilling his wishes. He was a happy boy again. The next day I went to a nearby shop to get an important material for the dress that I was going to design for the final stage. An exclusive material that was not easy to obtain, especially during the competition season. I was sure many designers would have gotten them already for their dresses. The final stage was important to me. I needed to win, so all of it would be worth it. Entering the fancy-looking shop, I smiled at the shop assistant and asked for her to get me the material I wanted. I'm sorry, Miss Winters. That material has been sold out. Just a while ago, you would need for another week to get it, the shop assistant said politely. Oh, look who is here. I hated that voice. That annoying voice that had ruined my life. If you want some of this material, I would give it to you for free. Helen then whispered closely to me, but you would need to beg for it. Oh, dear Helen, I would beg in exchange for your mortal soul for me to torture for eternity. I ignored her words and left. Ashley's POV. I was looking everywhere in Averna for that special material for my dress. It was the last piece to fit into the dress that I had sewn myself. I was working day and night for the dress that I was confident that could win the competition. My assistant Cindy had guarded my masterpiece with her life to ensure someone like Helen would not ruin it. While she kept my dress safe, I was out to find that special material to make my dress perfect for the theme. I was calling it Charming. It was actually Teddy's idea. A dress that would fit a princess from the land of fairy tales. A dress that a princess would wear when she met her Prince Charming. Like the stories he loved for me to read before he falls asleep. I wondered how he would react when one day he found out I was a princess in real life. I smiled to that. He would definitely then want to live in a castle. Most likely he would want to change his name to Prince Charming, my little vain pot. After going from one shop to another, I sighed to myself as I stepped out from the last shop in Averna that designers would go to in looking for exclusive material. Seated on a wooden bench outside the shop, I closed my eyes and called for help. Oh, spirit of my dead ancestors, I need guidance. I need a sign for me to find what I seek. Please, help me. I rubbed the necklace I was wearing with a rose symbol. It was a gift from Lorraine. Something she said that would help me connect to my witch ancestors. Something that she said I would need to pass over to my next generation of a witch. I wondered who that would be, as I was sure the doctors said giving birth to Teddy would be my last pregnancy. The complication I went through was life-threatening. But my love for Teddy was strong back then. I could not abort him. I would rather die in exchange for his life. My little angel, my baby miracle. Some might wonder why a witch as powerful as my bloodline would not dare to face a meaningless threat like Helen. Some would prefer me smite her into dust or transform her into an ugly creature. I could do those things, easily with a flick of my fingers. But I chose not to. Violence was not the answer. There was a darkness forming in my heart whenever I reach out to my potential. I could feel that darkness growing inside of me whenever I used my powers to hurt someone. It made me feel powerful. It made me feel invincible. It also made me feel I was losing myself to a force that would lock the real me deep inside my body. It felt as if an entity was taking control of my body, a paralysis of me watching myself drift away into a dark tunnel in my mind. That was why I left Averna 5 years ago. I needed to get away before I lost control of myself and unleash my true potential. It would not end up good. It would be me being the person that my family tried so hard for me not to be. A blood witch, someone that would destroy the world and unleash evil roaming the street. An apocalypse. I would never let it happen. I would never want that world to be where Teddy would live in. And I would be strong to not be the one person that my family feared me to be. I would not let evil win. Beep, beep. The sound of my hand phone startled me. Checking the message I received from an unknown number, I smiled. I wondered who had sent the wonderful message. It said that someone had the special material in possession. That someone was willing to give that to one person, her favorite person, the lost princess of Averna. I guessed I do have some fans out there. For a moment I thought it could be a trap set by Helen. She was one cunning bitch that would do anything to defeat me and take every single thing that was supposed to be mine. But I was desperate. It was just a few hours for the competition to begin. What choice do I have? So I texted Finley to check on the details sent to me on whether it was legit. As usual, he would use his skills and connections with his friends to find out the background of that person who claimed to have the special material. A moment later, Finley responded, "It is real, Ash, but that person lives in the suburban district. Pretty far away. You need to go now or you would not make it in time for the competition." Finley said to me in the short call we had, "All right, I'll drive there. Share me the location. I will do my best." I then hang up the call and walk to my rented car. The thought of me using my powers to travel to that destination came to mind, but that kind of powers would make me weak, and I needed all my energy to fight Helen for the competition. Driving an old car that Finley helped me to rent, I started my journey and prayed in my heart that I would make it on time. On the other side, Helen was smiling while she checked on her dress. The competition had already started and she was doing the final touch on her dress. She had designed it herself, something she was proud of and thought should win the competition. She triumphantly walked to the stage and introduced her design with confidence and grace. Of course, her many fans out there were cheering at her and called her out to win. But to her surprise, she was only ranked the third, and only 3 finalists would get to attend the competition at the international level with professional judges who were top designers themselves. Helen had to ensure the rest of the contestants would not surpass her marks. One by one of the other contestants seemed to be making mistakes. One even had her dress suddenly torn when it was presented on the stage. One designer had to pull out as high dress was caught on fire. Smiling wickedly, Helen was happy with how the competition was going. All was set in motion for her to get to the international level. Then she smiled and was ultimately pleased after knowing the last contestant was going to be next. It was none other than Tiana Winters. All she had left to do was to win the competition, which would mean she had taken everything from Ashley. Something she had planned to do for many years. Reading the message that came into her handphone, Helen smiled happily after being informed by a man she had hired that Ashley's care had broken down. All was in accordance to her wicked plan. Ladies and gentlemen, we would take a break as one of the judges had an emergency to attend to. We will resume with the last contestant, Tiana Winters, after the break. Hearing the announcement, Helen shouted in anger and stormed out from her room. She wondered who was that judge. Ashley's POV. It took me longer than expected to get the precious material from a man named Kingsley. He was surely a fan of mine. It took me a while to convince him that I would come back to meet him again after I get the special material for my dress. I tried telling him I was pressing for time, but he insisted for me to drink the cup of tea he made with cookies his wife had baked for me. He was quite adamant for me to hear how he had fought in the war for my grandmother, the Queen, and won an award for his bravery. Honestly, I was ashamed of not knowing who he was. He seemed very passionate in serving the Royal Army of Averna, a retired general and well-respected, I assumed. A human with such bravery was well-respected indeed. I was sure my grandparents would soon be informed about me meeting Kingsley. I hoped I would be in time to get out from Kingsley's home. It seemed his wife had bought the special material to use for their daughter's wedding dress. But the family was willing to give it to me after they heard about a woman called Tiana Winters was looking for the materials and would pay a handsome reward to get a piece of the special material. Then, one of the shop owners I went to recently had recognized me to be Ashley, the lost princess of Averna, and that particular shop owner was Kingsley's cousin. Was I in luck? It was definitely something I never expected to happen. I was destined to meet Kingsley for a reason I was not able to figure out at that point of time. I was all the time looking at the clock at Kingsley's house, and I knew I had to find a way to get out. Not an easy task when you owe your number one fan a favor. After taking few photographs with Kingsley and his wife, I finally managed to bid farewell and rushed to my car to drive to the venue of the competition. It was at the Royal Hall of Averna, a large convention center that could fit 1,000 attendees. That made me very nervous. Someone would recognize me to be Ashley. While driving towards the venue, I realized the brake of the rented car was not working. I panicked and had tried my best to slow down the car. Not an easy task when the road was going down the hill. What was worst was my handphone was out of battery life. Oh, dear Lord. Whispering a protection spell, I had no choice but to use my powers to stop the car. It was just in time before the car hit a tree. Firma! I shouted and held my right hand in the air and used all the energy I had to stop the fast-moving car, just an inch away from hitting the tree. My heart was pounding through my chest. My eyes were focused on staring at the tree. For a moment, I was breathing so fast and felt the world around me was spinning. Whispers were heard in my ears, whispers of spirits telling me how good it was to use the powers that I kept locked in my body again. It felt damn good. My body felt warm and light-weighted. I was slipping away. I was losing control. Ring, ring. The sound of my handphone brought me back to my previous state. I shook my head and closed my eyes for a few seconds. Why was it getting more difficult to control myself? Why is the darkness getting stronger in me? I opened my ears and saw the name flashing on my handphone. It was Nikolai. I wondered, what does he want from me? He had not called me for several days. He did not ask about me at all after the news of his engagement to Pamela was out. Urge, what does he want? Before I could answer the call, my handphone went dead. Great, no battery. Sighing to myself, I got out from the car and picked up my things. As I recalled, there was a gas station nearby where I could get help. Time was of the essence. I needed a ride to the venue of the competition fast. For some reason, I wished Nikolai was by my side. He always had ways to help me. I felt lost without him. I felt lonely. I thought at that moment I missed him dearly. But at the same time, I was also angry at him for hurting me. A strange feeling was then forming in my heart. A strange but familiar scent was also felt coming near me. I then turned around slowly and gasped. A big wolf came towards me slowly. Those familiar eyes were staring at me. Nikolai? My heart was beating fast. I felt him. As our eyes met, we were staring at each other. I felt a form of sadness in my heart. A kind of strange feeling of knowing the person you were falling in love with was also the person who you were about to lose, to another woman. Seeing her again awakened my energy that I had not felt for the past few days. I thought I could forget her and move on with my life. But it was not easy. It was close to impossible. She already had someone else in her life. The father of her child was still in her life. I wondered who it was. The voice of the man that answered my call to her was haunting my mind. I felt a form of sadness in my heart. The love I had in her was as much as the hurt I was feeling for knowing I was about to lose her. To another man. Was there still a chance for me to have her in my life? Was there love for me in her heart? Those many questions I had in my head needed to wait. Perhaps, as long as she was not married, I would still have that small window to make her love me. Ashley, ride with me. It is the fastest way to get to the Royal Hall of Averna. You don't have much time, I said firmly. I was about to repeat my words. I thought perhaps she could not hear me well. Perhaps we were not connected, as I hoped we were, a connection that mates would have when they are close by. How did I find her? It was thanks to a shop owner's husband who informed me Tiana Winters was looking for a special material, and a man named Kingsley was said to have the last piece. Hearing Helen's conversation with her wicked laugh made me feel something was not right. Then I found out from Cindy that Ashley had not arrived yet. I had to find her. Ashley, can you hear me? I said. Before I could repeat my words, she walked towards me and climbed on my back. I smiled to myself and felt happy to know that she could still somehow connect with me. Ashley was indeed my destiny. Perhaps I still had a chance, Ashley's POV. I had a complex feeling forming in my heart while I was riding on his back. The feeling of him close by made me feel the warmth of his body that I had missed. I felt reassured that he would keep me safe, like he always did. We did not talk at all while riding towards the Royal Hall. No words were necessary to explain how we felt at that moment. It was as if we knew we needed each other. Or was it he was angry at me? But why would he? I wrapped my hands on his strong back and inhaled his scent that was intoxicating. I did not understand why, but I knew I did not want this feeling to end. I wished things were easy for us. Ashley, I then heard his deep voice calling me in a whisper. We have reached our destination. You don't have much time. They are waiting for you. I opened my eyes and lifted my head up to see where we were at. I did not even realize that I had slept along the journey to the Royal Hall. After rubbing my eyes, I dismount from his back and collected the special material I had obtained for the competition. I could not believe we had reached our destination much faster than driving a car. Nikolai, I turned to thank him, but was surprised to see him no longer behind me. Where did he go? I looked around and felt disappointed that he did not walk with me to enter the Royal Hall. It made me feel a little sad. Where was he? Ashley's dress, called Charming, was indeed so amazing that it got her to be the one with the most cheers received from the crowd in the Royal Hall. The guests were impressed by her video presentation and storyline of how the idea of the dress came about. The story was captivating and set the viewers to feel as if they were in the land of a romantic fairy tale. It was all done without the use of her powers. It was all indeed her true talent that needed no magic, but it did make the guests feel it to be magical. At the end of the presentation, Ashley's assistant Cindy herself walked out to wear the dress, as it was indeed a perfect fit for her. And she was not alone. Another design for a male character came out and looking like a prince. It was none other than Ashley's friend, Dave. As the couple walked to the front of the stage, a flock of colorful birds came out flying in the air singing songs about a love story. It was melodious and calming. It was Teddy's idea to get his mother, Ashley, to design for both genders. It made Ashley smile to know the crowd loved her designs and her son's ideas. And this would be surprising to see for the first time. A wild card contestant has scored the most points for this year's competition. The hostess said, and gestured for the crowd to cheer after she mentioned the name of the winner, Tiana Winters. At the announcement, Helen was seen pissed off as she found out with Ashley winning the game. Her points had gone down to number 4. She was shocked to made known that she was not qualified to attend the international competition happening in another country. Ashley had crushed her dream. Ashley had won. Helen was then seen staring at her fiancé, Prince Philip, who seemed smitten with a smile while he watched Ashley walking at the stage to receive her award. Helen stamped her feet on the ground and left the stage. She knew she needed to move to her alternative plan in case this would happen. Outside, where no one was looking at her, Helen called a number that was said to be the one that would change her life to what she dreamt to be. "Hello, Father. We need to proceed to Plan B." Inside the royal hall, when Ashley received her award, one of the judges had congratulated her sincerely. She added, "We would appreciate your commitments to win this competition, but do try to come early the next time." The crowd burst into laughter and then moved to clap their hands. Ashley replied with a smile and nodded. Her eyes were looking around to locate Nikolai. When their eyes met, Ashley gave him a smile. She had so many things to ask Nikolai. She wanted to also to know if he was truly going to marry Pamela. Did he love her? But her smile was not returned to her. Something was not right. Ashley thought on whether he truly had his love interest on Pamela. Ashley's P. It took me a moment to realize my son was really here. It took me by surprise and I was speechless for a moment. Speechless, that led me to feel nervous to see my son appearing in the public's eyes. "Did anyone see you, Teddy?" I kneeled down to his eye level and fake a smile. "Did you talk to anyone along the way?" Teddy shook his head and stretched his hand to hug my neck. "Mommy, I'm so happy you won. Now we can go home." His big hug on me made me the happiest mother. I chuckled hearing him said in a whisper, "I want to be your knight, your hero in your fairy tale story too, Mommy." I smiled and pulled him close to my chest. While kissing his head briefly, I whispered close to his ears, "Of course, my baby boy. One day I would fulfill your wishes to be the hero in my design shows. Teddy, I need you to follow Uncle Finley to the backstage. I'll come to you later. I won't be long." Teddy nodded his head. He was such an obedient boy. I could not risk anyone seeing him close to me. I was sure there were eyes staring at Teddy, wondering who he was. A question would lead to another, and soon they would figure out Teddy was my son. And with his face looking more like Nikolai, someone would eventually figure out Teddy was his. I sighed to that thought. I then secretly gave Finley our coded gesture using my fingers. I sent him a signal wanting his to wait for me at the backstage in my room. I needed to settle something personal. Finley nodded and walked closer to me and Teddy. He gave me a kiss on my head and carried Teddy in his arms. "Congratulations, Miss Winters. I'm going to go check on Dave. We'll see you in a bit." I nodded at Finley. Such a polite gentleman he was. Dave was lucky to have Finley's love. Something that I wished one day I would have the same kind of true love. If ever I was destined to have one, I would be very grateful. Teddy's big hug washed away the anger I had on Finley for bringing my son to the competition venue. But seeing Finley able to put a disguise to Teddy's image, I felt a little better. He had put on a cap and fake glasses for Teddy to wear. No one would have a clear vision of how Teddy looked like. Both Finley and Dave knew the consequences of my family finding out about me having a child with a werewolf. My grandmother, the queen, would take Teddy away from me. Most likely lock him up to study on how strong Teddy was. They feared on what they do not understand. They feared of what Teddy would have become, just like how they feared on what I was today. It was all bullshit to me. My son deserved his freedom. He would need the love from his family, not the kind of love I was given while growing up. I was not going to let that happen to him. As I watched both Finley and Teddy exited the door to the backstage, I turned around and walked towards the hall where the rest of the invitees would be there for a gathering with the designers. It was a privilege to be invited to such an event. There were those coming towards me with their congratulatory remarks, followed my reporters wanting me to say a few words of how I felt being a winner for the prestige competition. I fake a smile and pretended I was interested in their little conversation about me. I had few scripts ready in my head, but when it came to reality with many asking me questions, I lost focus. I could not answer them all. It was just like my past with Philip, where people were interested in our relationship and love story. Now, they are interested on how a small designer like me could win. The name Theo Group was unknown to many. My company was indeed small, but we were quite well known to the people in Ambrose, a country where Mystic Town was situated. My eyes were scanning the room for someone. I needed to thank him for helping me to reach the venue in time. If it was not for Nikolai, I would have not been able to showcase my designs. I even tried to call him and sent him a message saying I would like to meet him tonight, but I had received no response from him. I wondered what had happened to him. Why was he avoiding me? It was getting a little confusing. At one point, he showed signs of wanting me, and the next time, he acted as if I never existed in his life. Then I saw him from far, with a familiar-looking woman. The sight of him with another woman had filled my heart with sadness. I knew she was looking at me from far. I knew she was trying to find me. I saw her message and had ignored her calls. The image of how sweet her family was that I saw a while ago made me feel that perhaps I was wrong in wishing I could be a part of that happiness. I saw how loving she looked at the man who was holding her child. She did not even avoid him when he planted a kiss on her head. I could not bear it any longer and left the scene. "Are you all right, Nico?" Pamela asked me and handed me a glass of wine. I took it from her without a word nor a smile. I had even forgotten how many glasses of wine I had drank that night. I hoped I could reach a stage to numb my aching heart. Pamela was just a distraction I needed for the night. I needed to get my mind off from Ashley. She had her happy family, and when you love someone that much, you would let them go towards their happy ending. Oh, why must my heart hurt so much? The sight of her with another man had filled my heart with sadness. Ashley's POV. Last night was tiring. I woke up with dark circles with eye bags. It was an ugly sight to see in the morning in the mirror. I did not recall how much I had drunk after putting Teddy to sleep. Finley and Dave had accompanied me to drink while they listened to my pathetic love story with Nikolai. I was just unlucky in love. Maybe I should forget about being in a serious relationship with one man. Maybe I should just sleep with other men, just like how Gina had lived her life. No strings attached. I understood now. Love was not meant for all women. Because every boy I kissed ended up cheating on me. I guessed I have a type. It was time for me to wake up to reality. There was no happily ever after ending for a cursed princess like me. I was destined to live alone without a man to love. I then paused for a moment while staring at my reflection in the mirror. Why was I so emotionally unstable? Was I getting my period? It must be my hormones talking nonsense to me again. I need to take a long bath and relax. After showering, I started to pack our things. No doubt my mind was still longing to meet Nikolai again. I had to push that thought and feeling aside. I had many questions to ask Nikolai, but after what I heard in the news while packing, I changed my mind. There was an announcement in the news about Nikolai Wolfgard's wedding date. It was fixed. Bastard! I was not sure on whether I was sad or angry. But surely both Finley and Dave had stayed a distance from me, as they sensed I was not in my best mood. "I'm going to take Teddy out to the park while you pack. It is best if you calm down a little," Finley said to me and placed a cup of chamomile tea on the table in my room that would help me calm my nerves. Don't believe everything in the news. It could be just news that was not verified. I did not answer Finley and kept packing. He knew me best to avoid me when I was angry. I just nodded and continued to pack Teddy's little things. It was best for Teddy not to see me in such an uncontrollable mood. It could lead for me to turn the whole place into destruction from good things to bad around me. I kept on making myself busy while I tried to forget that lying Nikolai off my head. How could I be such a fool to believe he liked me? While I sat on a chair to rest, I drank the chamomile tea and closed my eyes. It was indeed calming. But that calmness came to an end after I received a call from my agent's office. They needed me to return to their office in Averna on something that was related to the award that I had just won. I sighed and wondered what else that bad could happen to me today. Wearing a business white suit, I kept my image simple with minimal makeup. I was just not in the mood to look pretty that day. I just wanted the day to end. Before I left Finley's rented home, I saw Teddy returned from the park he went with Finley. While he was skipping his way to me and humming some song I never heard before, he asked me with a smile on his face. Those cute dimples of his reminded me a lot of Nikolai. "Mommy, can I use your hand phone? I need to call my friends to say goodbye. I need to tell them I'm leaving today." I did not realize my son actually had real friends that he cared for. I nodded in agreement and asked him to make it quick. He smiled happily and ran out to the garden to make that call. "Is he not acting strange?" I asked Finley, who walked into the living room with a pack of bagels. I guessed he got that strange attitude from his mother. Finley mocked me while he prepared breakfast that was probably for Dave, who was still asleep. Very funny. I walked closer to Finley and said, "The bad things in him comes from his father. I'm the good one." Finley scoffed and ignored me as he walked to the kitchen. "Be back soon, or we will miss the flight." I then took the keys to Finley's rented car to get to the agent's office. I wondered what it was all about. The call sounded urgent and important. A man wearing black tailored suit was seen walking around the office looking restless and annoyed. He tried calling his wife, who was obviously ignoring him. He had tried all he could to coax the love of his life to forgiving him. It was something he did in the past that had hurt her deeply, something that he could not change. Not until today. He needed to bring her home. It was the only way for him to see the love of his life smiling again and accept him in her life like how it was before. "Anne, please call me back. Please, my love. I will bring her back. Just trust me. I love you." He left a voice message with dozens of text messages of pouring his love for his wife. The look of anger and hate in her eyes when they last met had shattered his heart. He felt lost without her by his side. He needed to end it. He would make it right. "Mr. Knight, Tiana Winters has arrived." The secretary of the owner of the company called Galaxy Talents came in and curtsied at him. "Bring her in," he said, and took a deep breath to meet the woman who his assistant had verified to be his lost daughter. He had missed her so much. After drinking a cup of coffee served to him, he suddenly felt something was clouding his mind. He rubbed his forehead and closed his eyes for a moment. He stared at the cup of coffee and tried to recall who had served him the drink. He wondered if he was drugged. Again, a sound of a woman gasped lightly was heard. He knew who it was, but he could not understand why was he feeling a sudden anger in his chest when he opened his eyes to see her face. It was the feeling he had 5 years ago when he had caused his only daughter to leave the family since then. "Ashley?" For a moment, the room was in silence. Then she answered softly, "Dad?" Ashley's POV. "I saw my father for the first time since I left home 5 years ago. He was looking thinner, and his face was as if he had not slept for many days. Was he troubled? There was something not right at that moment. I could sense he was unwell. After taking a few steps towards him, I was surprised to see him looking up at me with hate in his eyes. For some reasons I could not confirm. I thought his eyes looked different. "I'm not here to congratulate you." His words kind of hurt me a little. What was I expecting? A celebration? The thought of seeing my father for the first time after 5 years was very different than reality. I was kind of hoping he would embrace me with love and affection. A peck on my cheeks would be sweet. I was obviously wrong. He then walked to a table with a familiar-looking file placed on a table. "You need to give up the award. You do not deserve it." What? His words were painful to hear. "And who do you propose deserves such award that I obviously had won, Dad?" He sneered and banged the table with a fist. "You won. You used tricks and cheat your way through." I paused for a moment and wondered if it was really my father talking. My father never spoke to me like that before. Even his accent was different. What was going on? Was he cloned? "Ashley, sweetheart, how low could you go to win this game?" He then threw the file on the table to me. Pieces of paper of my designs were scattered on the floor, with what I thought to be with packs of colorful condom packets. I gasped and closed my mouth with one hand. "Those are not mine. You have to believe me, Dad." I looked at the face of the father that had abandoned me when I needed him most. Was he doing it again? Pushing me away? Would he ever believe me? My heart was pounding fast as I saw my designs being torn into pieces by my father. It hurts to see how much hate he had in me. What did I ever do to deserve this? My father then covered his eyes and pointed his finger at me. "You are a disgrace to the family. I'm embarrassed to call you my daughter." Tears were running down my cheeks as I heard his painful words. How could he say such things to me? Where was the father I once knew that loved me? "Dad, please believe me." I wiped the tear on my cheeks and explained to him my innocence was already proven by Nikolai. He scoffed and spat on the floor. "You filthy witch. How could you let that animal to touch your body? He then raised his arm with his hand, looking like it was going to land right on my cheeks. I looked up to him and said, "Daddy, do you not love me anymore?" It was then I saw his hand froze in the air with his eyes staring at me. There was something in his eyes that looked different. It was a feeling I had that he might not be himself that day. Was he drugged? The door to the room suddenly burst open, and the last person I wished to see that day walked in like a hero in an action movie. "Uncle Ashton, please stop. Have some mercy." I turned to my side and saw Helen hypocritically begged for mercy for me. I was disgusted at the sight of how Helen was able to comfort my angry father to calm down. "You only believe Helen's poisonous words, not mine. Am I really your daughter, Dad?" I took few steps behind and sniffled a tear. Crying in front of Helen was a sign of my failure. I needed to stop. I held my breath to stop crying and looked up to see the calmer version of my father. "Ashley?" he asked gently and shook his head. I knew he wanted to say something, but I could not stand to be in a room with Helen. It was revolting. "I will not give up the award if that was what you wanted from me. As I said before 5 years ago, I would repeat the same again now." My lips were trembling to say my words. "Ashley is dead. I'm not your daughter. Don't you ever contact me again." I left the office with a broken heart. I could not figure out why my parents loved Helen more than me, as if Helen was their daughter. It was painful to meet my father in such a way. I thought after 5 years, he would miss me and love me more. But it was all a stupid and childish dream of mine. As I walked fast to exit the building, I bumped into someone whose familiar scent was the cause of my emotional roller coaster the whole day. I cried out uncontrollably and wished my life would just end that day. With my blurry sight, I looked up to see whose chest I fell onto. A pair of angry light brown eyes were seen looking at me. My heart then skipped a beat. I could not describe how angry I was to know Ashley was planning to leave me again. If it was not for Kiko who called me this morning, I would not know that they were leaving Averna the same day. I had doubted Kiko and Teddy were the same boy I met at the amusement park. So, I had asked Kiko who was his mother's name. When he said it was Tiana Winters, I felt like being struck by lightning and being electrocuted with thousands of volts. Did she have a heart to tell me she was leaving me? Did she not want to say goodbye to me after what we went through for the past couple of weeks? I could hear my Wolf Blake mocking me in my head for not taking her away from who I thought to be Finley Regalia last night. I was feeling stupid to not fight for her, but I felt more like an idiot for not being able to win her heart to love me. She chose that weak-looking werewolf Finley over me? Fuck. I had gone to her agent's company after knowing she was there. I was angry, furious. "Nikolai," she whispered my name before she fainted in my arms. "Ashley?" I wrapped her in my arms and checked on her pulse. She was burning up with fever. I carried her in my arms gently. All the anger I had for her the whole morning had turned into worry. I fear I was going to lose her. Nikolai's POV. She was trying to push me away and whispered words asking me to let her go. I ignored her punching my chest with her weak fist. She was unwell and I was focused on finding a way to get help for her. Finding a doctor who would cure an unwell witch was not easy to locate. If she was what they describe her to be, a powerful witch, I would need to find an experienced witch doctor to treat her. Seated at the back of my car, I asked my driver to take me to my penthouse. Call Drake and get him to find me a witch doctor. The best town. Now. I could feel Ashley's body getting weaker. She had stopped punching my chest and rested her head on arms that wrapped her body close to mine. "It hurts," she whispered softly, and I could see tears falling down her cheeks. I then caressed her soft cheeks that was all blushed red. I wondered what it was all about. Did someone hurt her? I would break his or her bones into pieces for hurting my woman. "Let me go, Nikolai," she said with her eyes close while pushing my hand away. "Don't touch me." "Stop it, Ashley. You are not well. Look at me. Open your eyes. Look at me." I caressed her cheeks gently and kissed her forehead as I then realized she was not answering me. "Ashley, please, wake up. I hate you." I heard her whispering her words softly at me. I wondered why she hated me. What did I do wrong now? "Honey, look at me, please. Open your eyes." No, I don't. I don't want to. See your stupid face. You lied to me. My stupid face? Me, lying to you. What is wrong? Tell me, let me fix this. I could then see her eyelids slowly moving up halfway. She was breathing erratically, being out of breath. I wrapped her warm body close to mine and smiled at her. Tell me what is wrong. Why do you hate me? Why are you here, Nikolai? Should you not be with her, your future wife? Her words took me by surprise. Was she jealous of Pamela? I chuckled to that. I never thought she cared about Pamela. I hate you. Don't touch me. You lied to me. I thought you liked me. Get your filthy hands off me. Before I could explain to her that it was all a misunderstanding, she fainted again. Ashley, honey, wake up. I called her name several times but failed to get any answer. I needed her to wake up. I needed her to know that what she heard in the news were not true. I planted a kiss on her forehead and whispered softly, "My heart only belongs to you. Please wake up, my love." I hope we are not too late. A red-haired woman was waking fast towards the building where Galaxy Talents was located. I tracked him to be here. That idiot! Anne, language, the other woman said with gritted teeth. They were years apart, but looked like they were sisters, instead of mother and daughter relationship. Walking past the staff of the company was easy with the presence of a woman walking behind her. Everyone in Averna feared that woman. No one dared to block her way. Pushing the large office door open, the red-haired woman shouted to the two persons who were seated in the room, with one was crying with regret. "What are you doing here?" "Anne?" He stopped crying and stood up to walk to his wife, but was stopped by the other woman standing behind her. "Mom?" It was his mother-in-law, the great queen of Averna. She stared at him and moved her glare at the other woman standing next to him. "You!" "Your Majesty," it was Helen who curtsied and smiled sweetly. "Would you like a cup of coffee? I would get the secretary to come and—" "Shut up! Shut your fucking mouth!" Anne shouted and used her witch powers to freeze Helen to stand still at where she was standing. "You caused it. You ruined my family." "Anne, stop!" Her husband was standing in between Helen and her, which made her angrier. He could not understand why he had the feeling of protecting Helen and not his wife, the love of his life. Everything was confusing to him. It was as if his mind and body were not in sync. "You are on her side now?" Anne then shouted in anger and shook her head. "You caused this, Ashton. You were always on her side. You pushed our daughter away. You ruined our family. I hate you. I hate you so much." Ashton then fell on his knees and shook his head. "No, please, sweetheart. Please, don't say that. I don't know what is happening to me. I can't. I'm losing control of myself. You gotta believe me. I love you. I would never do that to you or Ashley." Anne paused and stared at her husband with complicated eyes. She was not sure if he was speaking the truth. Queen Anastasia then walked closer to Helen, who she knew was pretending to be the helpless damsel in distress. She raised her hand and spoke in an ancient language that was forgotten by many. "Reveal yourself. Demon blood." Helen looked at her with innocent-looking eyes. Tears were seen falling down her cheeks as if she was accused of something that was not to her knowledge. "What? No, Your Majesty. I don't understand what you are saying." "Don't make me tear you apart and see who you really are in your true form, Helen." Her words were spoken with anger, and her eyes were turning reddish of color. "I'm giving you one last chance. Reveal yourself." As Queen Anastasia read out a spell she had read in the book that was once shown by Lorraine Winters, the room suddenly felt cold and windy. Ashton was then seen vomiting the content of his stomach after being touched by his wife. She had also spoken a spell to break him free from the spell that had bound him to a dark entity. "Be free. Fight it, Ashton. Fight it. If you love me, fight it." Ashton was then seen gasping of air and coughed loudly. It was then he spat out an object that looked like a round, small black ball. The ball then melted into black liquid. It was then he felt liberated. "Ashton." Anne kneeled down to his level on the ground and touched his cheeks with her palm. "Are you there? How do you feel?" He was then seen in sadness and looked up to see the face of his wife, a pretty face that he missed so much. In a whisper, he said to her, "Anne, I'm so sorry. I failed you and Ashley. I failed our family. It is not your fault, my love. We need to find Ashley and we need to bring her home. Together. Promise me you'll do that. Promise me you won't give up." Anne was in tears as she spoke her words softly. She was relieved to finally see her husband returning back to his true self. He raised his hand to wipe the tears on her cheeks and pulled her body closer to his for a tight embrace. "Oh, sweetheart, I miss you so much. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me." Helen scoffed and shook her head, not liking what she had witnessed. She then stood up straight and faced Queen Anastasia with no more fear in her eyes. "You are all so pathetic. You think this is over? Oh, you are so wrong." Helen then walked closer to Queen Anastasia and whispered with a wicked smile, "It has just begun, and you are losing. He will return." Nikolai's POV. We reached a place where Drake had arranged for us to get help for Ashley. She was already unconscious, but was speaking softly in a language I did not understand. I held her body close to my chest and wrapped her body with my jacket. All of a sudden, her body turned cold, and she was shivering. I did not understand what was happening to her. For the first time, she was looking fragile and pale. I was worried I was going to lose her. I could not face my future without her. "Stay with me, honey," I whispered close to her ears as I wrapped her body closer to mine for warmth. "Alpha Wolfguard, we have reached our destination," my driver said as he parked my car near a bungalow house with modern architecture. I thought witch doctors at her age would stay far away, like in the woods or somewhere like Mystic Town, preferring to be away from people. This yellow house looks fancy and rich, and in a busy town like this in Averna, quite impressive. "We live in different times. Shut up and open the door. Hurry," I said to my nosy driver and moved my body to exit the door while carrying Ashley in my arms. As we walked to the door of the house, my driver helped me to ring the bell, but the door was opened even before he pressed the button. Typical witches. They like to scare you, don't they, Alpha? I'm guessing this witch doctor to be old and ugly. Drake said she is almost a century-year-old. My new driver was the kind that liked to talk much. I wondered where Drake had found him. They were both equally annoying to me. "Get Drake. I want him to guard this place until my woman is awake." I walked in the house, not bothering to wait for the witch doctor to come and get me. "Well, hello, Alpha Wolfguard. You must be the son. You look so much like him. Your father, I mean." The voice of a woman was heard. I looked around and saw someone was walking towards us wearing a sports attire. She looked like she was in her 40s. I wondered who she was. "Where is Daisy, the witch doctor? I need her now. She is not well. I need Daisy to fix her," I said while looking around to see if the old witch doctor was at home. Clearing her throat, the woman wearing pink sports attire smiled at me. "I'm Daisy. Do you not remember me, young Alpha Wolfguard? You came here once when you were younger. With you handsome-looking father, of course. I fixed you too." I did not know what this woman was talking about, but I did not want to start a fight with her. I just needed Ashley to get better. "Where do I place her? She is in pain. Can't you see? Hurry up and do your thing." "My thing? Oh dear, Alpha, you do not have to be so rude. You do know your family still owe me on what I did to cure your pain." Daisy was smiling at me, and I could see her look at me from head to toe. Was she flirting with me? Disgusting old witch. "This is my mate. Fix her now," I said with gritted teeth. I did not know how much longer I could stand Daisy playing games with me. "Mate?" She looked closer at Ashley and wrinkled her nose. "You have not marked her. A pretty one, this one. She looks familiar, though. I wonder where I have seen her." "Alpha Wolfguard, you did not tell me this witch is a pretty one." My annoying driver tiptoed and whispered. He was making my blood boil in anger. They both were testing my patience. "One more word from you, I'll break your bones and feed you to the dogs," I said to my driver slowly, word by word, with gritted teeth. "Call Drake, or I'll sacrifice you to this witch for our offerings." He nodded like a headless chicken and took steps back to finally call my assistant Drake. "Your driver is cute," Daisy said and gestured for me to enter a room. Her eyes were watching my driver. It was painful to watch both of them flirting with each other. "You both can get a room and fuck, but after you fix my woman," I placed Ashley gently on the bed. Daisy chuckled and was seen walking towards a long table with a row of potions. "You are not like your father. You are boring, young Wolfguard." Before I could shout at Daisy for her mockery, I heard Ashley called my name. "Nikolai, help me. Ashley whispered my name breathlessly. I held her hand and sat next to her. Stay with me, honey. I'm getting you help. I kissed her forehead and moved to cover her body with a blanket. Daisy, how long more to get the cure for her? Cure? I can't cure what she is having. No one can. Daisy's words made me turn my head to look at her. I squinted my eyes and growled. What did you say, you fucking witch? I tried to calm my anger for not wanting to hurt Ashley. She was holding my hand tightly with her trembling hand. Something was bothering her mind. I could sense she was in between reality and perhaps a dream that I hoped she would wake up. If you continue to be this rude, I suggest you find another witch doctor. Good luck with that. I'm sure no witch would want to try fix the granddaughter of the Queen of Averna. Daisy scoffed and was seen mixing her potions into a bowl where she mixed with a white powdery substance. Great, she recognized Ashley. I hoped she would not tell. Don't worry, I am a professional, but all this would come at a cost. She moved to another table and burnt the mixture into a small pot. This is dark magic that someone had placed on her. She is in a dream world, between life and death. My potion would help ease her pain, but you need to find a way to call her back, to wake her up. We don't have much time. I nodded and said in a gentler manner, hurry up on whatever you are doing. She is in pain. I sighed and turned to face Ashley. Her body turned to be warm again. She was burning up. Teddy. I could hear her faint whispers calling her son's name. Recalling what Daisy said earlier, I thought maybe her son could help wake her up. I was not sure whether I should call her son, because I was not sure if I wanted to see the man called Finley to be near Ashley. But I needed to try all I could to bring my love back to life. Ashley's POV. I did not understand what was happening to me. My body felt weak and floating like I felt weightless. It was unusual for me to fall ill. I had all sort of spell memorized to cure any illness that may fall upon me. Then what was I experiencing? It was so weird. I could hear Nikolai calling my name. I called his name several times back in hope he could hear me and perhaps save me. Opening my eyes, it was all white surrounding me, freezing cold. Where was I? Was I dreaming? I walked around, but it felt like an endless void of white clouds. The scent was that of Nikolai. Was he there with me too? I then walked around and ran as fast as I can. I was hoping Nikolai was nearby to help me get out from this cold and lonely place. I stopped running as I felt tired. It was as if the oxygen in my lungs were depleting. Nikolai, I whispered his name, and for some reason I did not understand was why I somehow felt him close to me. It was then I saw a red door suddenly appeared out of nowhere. I looked at it for a few seconds before deciding to open it. Of course, what else should I do? I did not have a choice anyway. It was the door or being stuck in a lonely place. Opening the door, I gasped as I saw that it was a door leading back to what I used to call home, my parents' home, the Palace of Averna. It was just like how I remembered that I had left it. What was going on? Was I dreaming, or was this some sort of a sick mind game that someone had put a spell on me? I walked around the place until I heard the sound of children laughing. It was a familiar voice. It was as if I remembered the scene. From where I was standing, I saw my parents playing with a little that looked just like me. My brothers were there too at the backyard flower garden. My father was chasing after the little me that made me scream with laughter. My twin brothers were seen jumping on his back trying to stop him from catching me. I moved to locate my mother, who was seen seated on a stone bench while laughing happily looking at us. I laughed too, with tears in my eyes. It made me realize that my parents did love me very much a long time ago, and it made me miss the old good times so much. I wished I could just turn back time and fix whatever went wrong with us. I did not even know when it all started to go bad. At times, I wondered what I did to make them hate me now. While I was in tears, another door suddenly appeared next to me. What now? I whispered to myself. It seemed no one could hear me. I could shout as loud as I can, but no one was there to save me. Nikolai, where are you? I sniffled a tear and opened the door next to me. It was brown in color. The door led me to the day Philip had proposed to me. Oh, it was lovely indeed. It was just like how I wanted it to be. A grand celebration with him, announcing it to friends and family. We were very happy, and I knew we were very much in love. I could see it in his eyes. It was real, and I was sure of it. I tried to touch his face, but it was just a shadow of my imagination. Oh, why did he hurt me? Was I truly not good enough for him? I closed my eyes for a moment. Then I heard Helen's voice. Blinking my eyes open, I realized we were in my room. It was that night 5 years ago when I realized Helen had drugged me a night before my wedding. That bitch! I was punching her face and kick her body, but it was just smashing the air. Ugh! I hate her so much! I then closed my eyes and shouted as loud as I can. I was hoping to get up and leave this memory that was the point where everything had changed, where I was hurt the most. I then heard his voice calling my name, Nikolai. I opened my teary eyes, and the image of us making love on his bed was seen. Oh, he was gentle indeed. I was seen as the one wanting him, pulling him closer. That was pretty embarrassing, but he wanted it too as much as I wanted him. The image made me breathe erratically. It was as if I could feel him touching me, kissing me. I fell to the ground in tears and said, "I'm so sorry." I did not mean to leave him after that night. I lost my virginity to him. I could see him looking at me with love and affection. Did he truly love me? My heart was beating fast as if I already know the answer. Then I felt a sudden pain in my abdomen. Oh, what now? Opening my eyes, I saw the room that I had occupied when I was living with Finley at his small apartment in Ambrose City. I was staying there for a few months after leaving Averna. It was a time before I had the courage to meet my godmother, Lorraine Winters. I know this. I looked around and saw my reflection in the mirror. Placing my hand on my abdomen, it was an image of being pregnant with Teddy. Teddy, I whispered and smiled. Why was this memory different? Why was I reliving it? I remembered the suffering I had to go through while being pregnant with a hybrid child. It was excruciating painful when I was close to my delivery date. Both Finley and Dave were always there by my side. At least something was good in my life. Then I saw a door appearing in front of me. It was a door made with fire. Another door appeared on my right, a different door that was made of wood. Next to the wooden door was another door. It was made of steel. What was I supposed to do? For some reason I did not understand. I felt drawn to the door made with fire. I felt a pull for me to enter it, so I did. It was warm, but it did not burn my skin. Weird. Behind the door I saw a hallway. The way ended with a throne made of gold. There was a man seated it. I wondered who it was. "Hello, little princess of mine," he said with a smile flashing at me. I could not see him clearly, but it looked like he was in flames. Wait, what language was he speaking? How was it that I was able to understand it? Who are you? Where am I? Are you real? I asked surprisingly in the same language. I'm your grandfather, Eric. Welcome to my world. Do you like it? He raised his hand, and suddenly the walls around him collapsed, and I could see the place was surrounded in flames. But I was not feeling warm. It was quite the opposite. Now, Ashley, we have to talk.